Once you have your project assets in your computer, it's time to import them into Premiere Pro. So to follow along with this lesson, just open up Premiere Pro and start up a new project. By now you know the routine. Click on New Project. Click on Browse. Go to your desktop. Click on My Premiere Pro Exercise Files and select that folder. Now give your project a name. I'm going to call it Importing. Click OK. Skip the New Sequence dialog box and go right to Premiere Pro. Now we're going to import assets. Assets are things like video files, audio files, images, graphics. Those are all assets you can use inside Premiere Pro. The term importing is one of those unfortunate terms because you're not really moving something from point A to point B. You're just creating a link to that asset, a reference to that asset. You don't touch the original files when you work on them inside Premiere Pro. You just link or refer to them. There are several ways that you can import assets into Premiere Pro. I'm going to show you the standard way first, and that is File, Import. But before I click here, I just want to point out those three little dots, that's called an ellipsis. They indicate that something intermediary is going to happen here before you actually do the import. So whenever you see three dots, you know that some other kind of item is going to open up before the import takes place. So I click on that. We open up the Import dialog box. And right now we're over at the Working Files folder, already inside the Bike Riding subfolder. So I'm going to go back to the Working Files folder for a moment and show you we've got these subfolders inside here. They contain video clips and some still images and some documents. I shot a bunch of clips for this tutorial, so most of these guys are video clips that I shot, as well as some video from Digital Juice, who provided stock footage for us, and some other assets here. So let's start off by going to the Bike Riding folder. These are MP4 files, MPEG files that I use throughout the course. MP4 is kind of a good compression scheme, and it's compatible with both Windows and Mac. But if I go down here to see all supported media, you can see tons of things that Premiere Pro can support. If I click this thing like that, you can see that they're kind of broken down by type here. But again, there's so many different formats, they run off the side of the screen. You can't even keep track of how many there are. So basically, if you can view it or listen to it, you can probably work with it inside Premiere Pro. So we've got these MP4 files. I'm going to select one. Go for Bike Riding 4, for example. Now I click Open. And that imports it. That creates a link to it here inside the project panel, which means we can now use this in a sequence or view it, let's say, in the source monitor. If I double click it, there it is in the source monitor, and we can view it now. And this is playing off the hard drive. It's not playing, let's say, out of the Premiere Pro project. It hasn't been moved someplace and playing where this thing's been moved to. It's playing off its original location on the hard drive. And this is just a link to that position on the hard drive. Let's go get a few more assets. We'll use a different way to open up the import dialog box. If you go back here and you take a look at it, you'll notice that it says Control-I is the keyboard shortcut. That's in Windows, Command-I on Mac. So I'm going to press Control-I here in Windows, and that opens up the import dialog box. What I want to do is select more than one clip. The way you can do that is by using a keyboard shortcut. I can say I want to select Bike 6, and then I want to select Bike 3. So I hold on the Control key in Windows or the Command key in Mac, and I can select disconnected files like that. Or if I want to select contiguous files, I can select this one, let's say, first. Then I can hold down my Shift key and select that one. So I've got 3 in a row, and I've already got 4. So now I can hold down my Control key and select 5 and 6 like that. And now I can click Open and bring in the rest of those files. Let's go get a few more using a different shortcut. What you can do is you can double-click on any empty place inside the project panel to open up the import dialog box. And that is the typical way that I open up the import dialog box. And any empty space means not clicking on any of these icons here. So I'm going to click off to the side like that and double-click. And that opens up the import dialog box. Let's go over here a little bit. I'm going to open up some Digital Juice stock footage. These two are MP4 files, but I want to select one of the time-lapse clips because time-lapse does not have audio, and I want to show you how the icons look different. So I'll just double-click on a clip, and that will open it up. There we go. Or that will import it. There we go. Notice that the icons here have a little audio icon associated with them, and the time-lapse clip does not have any audio associated with it. If I double-click it to open up on the source panel, you won't hear any audio. And you'll see the little audio thing here is kind of grayed out, meaning there is no audio associated with this clip. Let's go get some audio-only clips. I'm going to double-click in an empty space here. Back up a notch. Go to the Other Assets folder. There's some audio clips here. I want to select these two clips, and I've shown you that you can click on one and Control or Command-click on another to select different clips like that. Or you can click on one and Shift-click to select contiguous clips. But I'll show you the marquee selection method. If I click away from these guys down below them and then marquee select like that, just drag up my mouse, I can do marquee selection. I selected those two and I'll bring them in. And notice that their icon's a little different. They have an audio only icon. This tells you that it's just audio there. If I open that up in the source monitor by double clicking on it, it just shows you the audio waveform. There you go. Let's go get some documents and images. I'll double click again here. Anywhere outside of a name or an icon or down below here, double click an empty space to open up the import dialog box. We've got some documents and some photographs, all JPEG files with the exception of this one BMP file. So I'm going to click on the first one and shift click on the fifth one to select those 5 contiguous guys there. And click open. We'll bring them in. You'll see that these documents and images, these JPEG and BMP files, have the same icon. Looks like a little kind of artwork there or something. That tells you these are still images. You too can work with these. Let me just double click on one of them. I'll just double click on this document, the census document. And it shows up here inside the source monitor as well. And you can work with still images like this in Premiere Pro. One of the cool things about Premiere Pro is that you can put these in motion. So you can zoom in on them, or if you have a photograph, for example, you can zoom in and pan across the photograph. So we'll talk about working with still images as we go through the course. So that's how you import assets. That's how you create links or references to assets, be they video files, audio files, images, or graphics.